Okay, guys, hello. It is 2 o'clock Mountain Time, and seeing some folks log in here. Hey, Rosalie, good to see you. If you are logging in at this time, go ahead and shoot me a little note. Just let me know that you can see me, that you can hear me. Let me know what your name is. Let me know where you're not dialing, we're not on the phone, where you're sitting right now, where you happen to be in the world. Right here in Arizona, it is Sunday afternoon. So this is going to be a relatively brief call today because I don't want to take up too much of your holiday weekend. So let's get right into it. For those of you that I haven't yet met, my name is Mindie Kniss, and right now I am in Arizona. Scottsdale is where I live. And in a few days, I'm going to Zurich, Switzerland for the first time. And I was just a few minutes ago looking at the temperature, the current temperature in Zurich, and it's like 35 degrees there. So I think that Sean and I might freeze to death, but hopefully we will be able to make it back to the US whole, and we'll come back here to the desert to defrost. So what I talked about in the invitation to this webinar today is how to get clients. A lot of people say, cool, I'm going to become a coach, and see if any of this sounds familiar. Yeah, thanks, guys. People are chatting. You're going to be cold. Yes, it's true. So see if this sounds familiar. You decide that you want to be a coach, and you get everything set up. You have a website, you have a business card, you have a business phone number and a business email, and maybe even a few other things, maybe an office space where you can meet your clients, or whatever else it is that you decided to do to get yourself started. And then it's kind of like looking around like, where are the clients? How am I going to make this thing work? How can this be sustainable? So I want to talk to you about 3 key elements today. Now, of course, there are lots and lots and lots of these, but 3 of them that I feel are really crucially important that I want you to focus on when you're in that phase of wanting to get clients. Or maybe you've been a coach for a while, but things have kind of slowed down a bit, or you just don't have as many clients as you would like to have. So these are 3 things I want you to kind of reassess each of these 3 categories and to see where you're at in them. Maybe you could use a little upgrade. So I'm going to have, I created a little acronym for you. It's AVA, A-V-A. So the first A is for avatar. And in order to describe to you, showcase to you the power of having an avatar, and I know some of you are rolling your eyes right now because you've heard me talk about this a million times, but I'm going to talk about it again. So the power of having an avatar. I want to tell you a story. Now, this is a true story, but I'm not going to tell you who I'm talking about. Let's say there are 2 entrepreneurs, both of similar training, similar background, similar status online, basically starting from the same point. One of those decides to, we'll call this person John. One of those decides to be this general, inspirational, motivational coach and speaker, and just wants to open up to the masses to offer advice or offer hope or offer joy or whatever it is, all of these things. But it's very, very wide in breadth. So John has some relative success over the years in that. But when he compares himself to his friend, let's call him Pete, what Pete did, again, they started from exactly the same, lots of different things, same point, same starting point. And Pete, instead of saying, hey, everybody, come to me, come see me, come learn from me, come get advice from me, what Pete did instead was he picked a very, very specific avatar. Now, if you're not familiar with that term avatar, it's just a term that marketers use to describe who is your ideal client? So for me, my avatar's name is Jake. He is a guy in his 30s. He's fairly successful. In other words, he's made a lot of money and he can afford coaching with me. He is not feeling fulfilled in his life purpose or his current career. And that is who I target. But back to this guy named Pete. What Pete decided to do was he said, you know, I think I could offer a lot of value and a lot of help to dentists, because this was years ago. And at that time, he had read a statistic that said that dentists had the #1 rate of suicide. And they were very, very depressed, just as a community. You know, the majority of dentists had issues with depression. So he's like, why not help them? You know, I have all these skills and all these things that I could offer, all this value that I could give to them. So why not specify with dentists? So Pete decided to start attending things like dental workshops or dental seminars or dental conferences. Now, he was not a dentist himself. Let me be clear about that. That was not his own career. But as he got connected with some of these people and started offering his services of either speaking or coaching / mentoring to these dentists, he essentially over time became known as the guy to go to. If you were a dentist, you needed to go see Pete. Pete was the one that everybody knew of and talked about and referred. So the difference from John, who was this very, very wide breadth of let's help everybody, to Pete, which was very, very, very focused, was astronomical. Because over the same amount of time, while John was making incremental progress, Pete's progress shot up like a rocket. It is crazy to see the numbers nowadays on his email list, his income, the following that he has on social media. It's absolutely amazing. And remember, they were doing basically the same thing. Pete just had a really, really clear avatar. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details on what makes up an avatar because I already did that in the coaching workshop. So you can get my free worksheet. You can check out the video on that, and I'll link to all that stuff if you guys don't have that yet. But lots more detail on that is in the workshop. Second, this is my aqua notes. You guys, some of you will know what this means. Number 2, so the V is value. Give value first. There's a saying that Sean and I have in our relationship. We say, love is not a game of you go first. Love is a game of I'll go first. And it's kind of the same thing in business, in that in business, you need to provide the value first. So you need to put yourself out there in whatever way you want to, whether that's on social media and sharing great content or great articles or great tips or blogs or anything like that. You need to be offering value first. It also can show up in the form of maybe a free session. So a lot of coaches like to offer a free introductory session to any client out there that potentially wants to work with them. This gives people kind of a no obligation, risk-free trial to see if they like working with you. Now, the difference between offering what some may call there's lots of different ways to call it, either a trial session or complimentary session or free session or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter much to me, but I think here's the big difference is that some people will look at that and say, oh, it's just, it's going to be a sales pitch. It's just going to be wanting, excuse me, them wanting to get me on the phone, and then they're going to pitch me hard, and that's it. Because for some reason, people still have this mentality of if somebody works online or they have an internet-based business, they must be a scam artist. Now, thankfully, that mentality is changing. And clearly, those of you on this webinar know that that's not true because you've either worked with me or maybe you do work online yourself. And so that's not the case. But to a lot of the population still these days it is. So you want to be able to offer them something that is clearly not that, clearly not a sales pitch, clearly not, you know, just, hey, let me make sure to wrangle you in with this call. So just be clear in your offering about what it is and what it is not. So the V was offer value first. Finally, I told you this was going to be very, very quick. Number 3, the final A, so AVA, avatar, value. The final A is authority. And this one I want to spend a little bit more time on. You have to position yourself as an authority. Now, an authority in what, you may say? What I wouldn't do is just say, hey, I'm a generalist coach. So I'm in the position of authority of what, everything? Well, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Nobody's going to really believe you, first of all, because you know, nobody is the expert in everything. And secondarily, it's going to make it really hard to find you. If they're doing any kind of keyword search or video search or anything like that, they're not going to find you if you're just kind of this general authority on a certain topic. Now, I want to make a caveat here. If you happen to have a name like Deepak Chopra or maybe Wayne Dyer or Marianne Williamson or any of these folks, they are now, I mean, granted, Wayne already passed away, but he certainly was toward the end of his life. They are authorities on a lot of different things, but they had to earn that. So most of you guys, myself included, we're not there yet. So my recommendation to you is to pick, what are you going to be an authority on? And notice, I didn't necessarily say the authority, because as my friend Sally Hogshead, who is a branding expert, likes to say, different is better than better. So I don't necessarily care if you are the best of that particular authority group. If you're better, I mean, if you're different, I'm sorry, if you're different, that actually is better than better. Different is better than better. So being an authority in a certain topic is really, really cool. I was named at some website, teachersoftheheart.com. They named me as one of the top most, top living teachers of the heart or something like that. Now, I don't know who the Teachers of the Heart website is, but it was cool to be named among a lot of other luminaries that were teaching on the heart. So that has been part of my authority stake. That has been part of my claim in that camp. Now, how the heck do you do that? How do you establish yourself as an authority when maybe nobody knows who you are? Well, first and foremost, everybody has to start somewhere. So just because maybe you haven't done anything online yet, that's okay. Or maybe, you know, nobody knows that you have this certain skill because you spent your whole career in a certain industry, but now you're switching into coaching, and maybe they don't know the value that you can offer in that realm or in that world. So you have to let them know somehow. And I got a question on this, and in response to the question was essentially, who am I to go out there and start talking to people? Because one of the things I always say is, why don't you connect with other people who are already doing similar things? Maybe they have a blog that you could become a guest blogger on, or even just have one guest post. Or maybe they host a podcast that is something to do with your topic, and maybe you could reach out to them and offer to be a guest on their show. And somebody raised the question, they said, hold on, I'm a nobody. Why would they care? Why would they want to listen to what I have to say? Why would they even want to take my email? I have a little thing to read to you from this book by Ryan Holiday. This is called The Obstacle is the Way. And this is about George Clooney, and I think this is very, very fitting. So listen to what he says. George Clooney spent his first years in Hollywood getting rejected at auditions. Now, George Clooney, you all know who this is. He wanted the producers and directors to like him, but they didn't, and it hurt. And he blamed the system for not seeing how good he was. This kind of gives me a flashback to earlier in my coaching career and thinking, why can't people see and just know that I'm a great coach? Well, unfortunately, that's not how it works. This perspective should sound familiar. It's the dominant viewpoint for most of us on job interviews, when we pitch clients or try to connect with an attractive stranger in a coffee shop. We subconsciously submit to what Seth Godin, author and entrepreneur, refers to as the tyranny of being picked. It's terrible, right? Everything changed for Clooney when he tried a new perspective. He realized that casting is an obstacle for producers too. They need somebody to fill the role, and they're hoping that the next person to walk into the room is the right somebody. Auditions were a chance to solve their problem, not his. From Clooney's new perspective, he was that solution. He wasn't going to be someone groveling for a shot. He was something with something special to offer. He was the answer to their prayers, not the other way around. That was what he began projecting in his auditions, not exclusively his acting skills, but that he was the man for the job, that he understood what the casting director and producers were looking for in a specific role, and that he would deliver it in each and every situation, in pre-production, on camera, and during promotion. The difference between the right and the wrong perspective is everything. So if you think about that story and apply it to yourself in terms of putting yourself out there for content producers, content creators to have access to, essentially you may be solving their problem, because the problem is people that run especially busy blogs or podcasts that publish new editions or new episodes a lot, they constantly need content. Same thing with TV producers, radio producers, magazine editors. There are so many people out there that constantly need content. So why not begin to think of yourself as the answer or the solution to their problem? When you are able to know that you can provide great value, that helps them a ton, and it also doesn't make you feel like a needy newbie, and it makes you just show up with this value that you have to offer. But then here's where the beautiful synergistic aspect comes in, is that when they showcase you on their blog or their podcast or radio show or whatever it is, you automatically get a bump up in credibility for your authority. They wouldn't be showcasing you if you weren't an authority on something. So the more that you can show that you have maybe been interviewed on podcasts or, appeared on as a guest, whatever, on somebody's program, that's awesome. And people will more likely pick up the phone and actually call you instead of you just sitting around in your empty office with your business cards and all the stuff that you've prepared in advance, but no clients are there. This will actually encourage them to contact you first so that you don't necessarily have to go out into the world. Those of you that know me well, you know that I am a huge, huge introvert. So when people talk about, oh, just go to networking meetings and things like that, that to me sounds like the worst option out there. That is not how I've built my business at all. I'm not that kind of a person. My husband, Sean, on the other hand, that's how he's basically built 100% of his business. He is that type of person. So you need to know what's true for you, how you are in the world, and what feels best and right for you. The thing that I have told my students 8 billion times is there is no wrong way to do it. So if somebody were to tell me, oh, Mindie, the problem is you're just not going to networking meetings, and I'm not going to feel like I'm doing it wrong. I'm just going to say, nope, that's not my vibe, not my thing. So avatar, give value first, and then position yourself as an authority. And you can see how all of these work together too, because if you're going to position yourself with authority, what topic are you going to be talking about? Maybe it's depression in the dental industry. You know, that you would clearly need an avatar. If you're going to give the value first, that leads to the authority, the credibility that you can have, but also, who are you going to give the value to, or what are you going to talk about? What is the value? What is the topic of it? You know, who is your target market? Who is your avatar? All of these things can be really, really, really helpful. Now, I have not spent a ton of time going in depth on any one of these things today because, like I said, it's a Sunday afternoon here in Arizona, and I want you to go out and enjoy the rest of your weekend, wherever you may be in the world. But I do want to open up, if you guys have any questions, I will hang out just for a few more minutes till, well, we'll see how many questions we get and see what happens. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this quick, brief webinar. I told you that there was not going to be any sales pitch, and while that is true, I do want to just notate that Core Coaching Academy is right now open for enrollment. You can find out all the details on that. What that is getting to work with me in my training course for newbie coaches or coaches who are not yet finding the traction and the business that they want to create a sustainable life and career. So that's open now. The early bird registration closes on November 30th, which is just a few days away from now. I think that's Wednesday. Yep, Wednesday, the early bird option closes. What that means is that if you sign up by then, you save $500 off of your total enrollment. Some people like that bonus quite a bit. And if not, you can still sign up in December. So if you want to check that out, you can go to core.rocks. That's COR.ROCKS. Notice it's not a .com, it's core.rocks, which is a nice little funny new domain that they have, core.rocks. So if anyone has any questions, go ahead and chat them in or put them in the Q&A box. And if not, I will wish you a very, very happy holiday season. I'm going to wait just a minute because I know that there's a time delay on this webinar. So I'm going to take a drink of tea. The event in Switzerland is, if you guys are familiar with Robin Sharma, he was a guy who wrote the book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. That came out a long time ago, and I think that his newer stuff, I want to say it's called something like The Leader Who Has No Title, or The Leader Who Has No Name, or something like that. Anyway, Robin Sharma, he does these big events called Titans, which are for very, very, very successful CEOs and business leaders. And that is in Switzerland, and Sean is going to speak at that. So we are going over there on in December. So we're going to freeze our booties off and have to remember to pack a lot of winter clothes. Now the challenge is that we live in the desert, so we don't really have a lot of winter clothes. We've gotten rid of a lot of them over the last few years living here, so we might have to do a little shopping beforehand too. You guys, you're welcome. I'm seeing some of the chats come in now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are so welcome. I am excited for the new year. Most of you guys know that I take December off. So while this trip is going to be a little bit of work as well as play in Switzerland. As soon as we get back from there, I'm out, which is really, really fun. And that just preps me and gets me ready for an awesome start to the new year in January 2017. So that is going to be great. Thank you guys so much for your nice comments on here. I look forward to seeing you all soon, talking to you. If you do have any questions about core or anything else that I've got going on, feel free to email me. My direct email is Mindie, M-I-N-D-I-E, at Mindie Kniss, that's K-N-I-S-S.com. Mindie at mindiekniss.com, that's my email. Happy to chat with you guys. So all of you that were on here, thanks so much for your time. Remember the AVA principle, and I'll see you guys soon.